I'll figure it out. Okay. First and foremost, I want to say congratulations to Playboi Carti. Playboi Carti, indeed, his first week sales of music has came to a conclusion, and it has been reported that he has sold 298,000 records first week. It says Playboi Carti, and obviously I tweeted this myself, sells 298,000 first week. It will debut #1 on Billboard. Congratulations to him. Now, he obviously retweeted me, and he said 320. Now, a lot of people believe that his number that he's going with is 320, which is kind of, I don't know why he tweeted this, I'm going to be honest with you. Some people believe that it's because they feel he's in competition with Uzi or trying to outdo what Uzi did with EA, but he already outdid what Uzi did with EA with music. Uzi did 288. However, some people have told me, like, no, maybe he's thinking that EA did 311, because back in the day when EA came out, Hits Daily Double, which is another important outlet, had said it was going to do 311, so he wanted to beat it, so he's saying he did 320. I don't know what it is. With all due respect to Carti, and Carti is my man's, so of course I retweeted him, but he sold 298. That's the official number. Now, that number comes from Billboard, and that's what they're printing. That's where they're going with. It derives from Illuminate that used to be SoundScan, Nielsen. They come up with the numbers. Billboard publishes usually every Sunday, unless there's a delay. Every Sunday at 8 o'clock, they'll publish an article saying their top 10 albums, okay? The Billboard Hot 100 comes out at noon. These are East Coast times. I'm telling you, I've covered the charts for forever, right? You know what I mean? So, like, I know these things. So, yeah. The official number, this is not via me, this is not via an outlet that's like, guesstimating or on pace to sell. It's already written and via the billboard.com website, as you can see. It says Playboi Carti captures his second #1 on the Billboard 200 albums chart as his latest solo project, Music. Debuts at top of the tally dated March 29th. The set debuts at 298,000 equivalent album units in the week ending in March 20th, according to Illuminate. That marks the biggest week of 2025 for a rap album. It also arrives with the biggest streaming week for a rap since 2023, which is kind of like, interesting. Sounds like did it outstream For All the Dogs? When did For All the Dogs drop? It outstreamed GNX, clearly, right? GNX first week streams. Actually, I got a list for it. It did 363 and Carti did 384, I believe. Yeah, okay. So he outstreamed. By the way, really impressive. Like, I'm pretty sure I would hope Carti don't give a damn about not doing 320 versus doing actually 298. And respectfully, you know what I would say to Carti if he did feel a way about him not doing over 300 because he was 2,000 short? I would literally tell him, don't drop your album 8 hours late. Like, your first day numbers was astronomical. Then, of course, it tails off a little bit. You dropped it 8 hours late. That's your 2,000 sales, buddy. I'm sorry to say. Like, we got to be honest, right? Like, if he drops his album with 8 more hours of tracking, I really believe that he sells 2,000 more albums. So, again, him not doing 300,000, respectfully, I think that's his fault. Second of all, we're going to get into why he didn't do Travis numbers, because in reality, this is one of the most successful albums really of all time. The numbers pale in comparison to really how successful it is, because he's doing these numbers on some Drake shit, straight off the muscle. He sold mad bundles and shirts and all that type of shit that were going to come with CDs. Apparently, none of that counted. So he supposedly missed out on like maybe 130,000 sales, 140,000 sales, or 45, 150, whatever the number is. So his total number should really be around like 450, truth be told. But Billboard changed some rules. Him and his people clearly didn't do something right. They didn't count none of his bundles, which is kind of crazy. Imagine not dropping an album for 5 years and you have a pre-order link where people could just order, and you're saying, damn, niggas is just racking. Has it been 5 years? Yeah. And people are racking up the pre-order link, and you're like, all right, cool. At least these are guaranteed sales. And then the sales don't count. So we'll tell you some of the new Billboard rules that kind of affected him, but it's much more convoluted. But we got to give a lot of credit to this number. This was completely off the muscle of streaming and people demanding his music. Cool. So, unfortunately, love Carti, but it wasn't 320. And tomorrow we'll see he'll be number one, but Billboard is only certifying 298,000. According to the list that we have here, the biggest opening week for streams for a rap album in U.S. history actually goes like this. So Scorpion is still king. Certified Lover Boy really came close to Scorpion. I always tell y'all, you sell your next album off your last album. Scorpion to me was a bona fide classic. Also, Scorpion came after Views, or really actually after Views, but we all know More Life was smudged in the middle, and also came after the battle with Pusha T. But also we remember that there's God's Plan. There's like 5 mega hits on this fucking album. So Scorpion was a double album. Went crazy. Certified Lover Boy. That was at 743. It's kind of crazy. Drake's the only one who's done over 500,000 streams first week. For All the Dogs, which was his last solo project, 514. Her Lost Wit with Savage, 513. Carter 5, salute to the legend Wheezy, Lil Tunchi, 433. Obviously that was one of those highly anticipated years in the making one. Legends Never Die. I believe that's Juice WRLD, right? That's Juice WRLD, right? Let me just confirm. Legends Never Die. Yeah, that's Juice WRLD's album, his posthumous album. I think that was right after he passed away. Yeah, this was in 2020. Okay. And Eternal Take. Oh, wow. Eternal Take actually did 400 M in streaming. When did Eternal Take drop? I feel like that was a couple years ago. Was that 2022? Eternal Take. What year did that drop? Could be tripping. No, it was 2020 actually. Because I remember I wasn't even in this house yet. Yeah, it was 2020. So damn. Here's the thing with streaming. As time goes on, there's more people that becomes into streaming. Like more people are subscribing to streaming. They're watching stuff. They're all just streaming shit. There's more people on the planet. These numbers should get broken eventually. Like all these numbers are going to eventually get broken. And if they don't get broken, it might just be because it was a really phenomenal album, a really unique time. And it clearly shows Eternal Take it happened during a really phenomenal time, because that shit did 400 mil and shit, we ain't seen nothing. It has good company. Right below that, we got More Life. Then we have Music, which obviously is Playboi Carti's new album, and that even outstreamed the Kendrick Lamar's GNX. I was actually a little bit surprised by that, because, we got the hip-hop savior. I would imagine, well, GNX, it was highly anticipated. What did Mr. Morale, the big step? Okay, that's right here, 343. We get Donda, which is here, and Astroworld, which is here. As some people try to compare Music to Astroworld, well, if we do the comparison, Music is more streamed. And I think we could make an argument that it was more anticipated, right? Or maybe not. Astroworld was really anticipated. Now, which one delivered? Leave it up to you. Mr. Morale, the Big Steppers. Then the thing with Damn is like streaming popped off around 2015, 2016. That's the uptick in streaming. So when you're thinking about the streaming era, the streaming has existed since about like it's really 2010. It's existed, but around 2015, 2016, the streaming era starts. Drake Views is one of the albums that really cemented streaming. If you know, you know. Really, you could track it back to a little bit before, because you could even go back to even around like 2014, maybe 2014 actually with If You're Reading This Too Late. So that's when streaming really started kicking up. Okay, anyway, so Damn, I think if Damn was dropped in this era, if Kendrick dropped this, and I'm being fair here, if Kendrick dropped a Damn type project in this era, I think it would be 600 mil. Like that. Remember, Damn sold 600,000 already. It sold 603,000. Most people bought it. But it was dropped in 2017. Most successful album in 2017. The only year that I actually could say Kendrick was a bigger artist than Drake. And really it's because Drake dropped More Life and he dropped Damn. But maybe I could say another year, which maybe I guess 2024. Yeah, 2024 we could say Kendrick beat Drake, right? So we'll give him 2 out of 15 years. You know what I mean? So 2 out of 15 years. I think Kendrick has gotten Drake. Hey, if I'm 13 for 15 from the field, I think I'm all right. All right. But anyway, damn, I think that those numbers would have been way bigger. Utopia. What people don't realize about Travis is like Travis is a pretty decent streaming artist, but his numbers would make you feel like he's one of the biggest streaming artists. He's not. We got the off season. Was that what's my man's name? Cole. We Don't Trust You. You see Future on the list. Damn, Future and Metro. Then we see KOD, which is obviously Cole. It's Only Me. What album was that? It's Only Me. Why is that evading me right now? It's Only Me album. Oh, it's Lil Baby. Oh, and again, I keep telling you, the album before sells the album after. So My Turn, people tuned in to give this a chance because My Turn was so fire, right? Then I Never Liked You, that's a Future joint, and Dark Lane demo tapes, that's a Drake joint. Okay, so that's pretty much the biggest first week of all time. Now, if we're thinking about the Carti release, one of the things, and by the way, let me just tap in with the chat, make sure everybody cool in here. Everybody cool? If you're watching this later on YouTube as a VOD, I'll check in later on the comment section. You know what I mean? Just comment wherever you at in the timestamp. Let me see what y'all talking about in the chat though. Okay, so I'm gonna tell y'all the new Billboard rules, and we're gonna kind of go over it. So Billboard is tired of the finessing. Now, here's the thing. Ever since the music business has existed, finessing has existed. Why does it happen? Right? Now, the labels spend money to make money. Now, if, the idea of buying records, which is like one of the earliest finesses where people would buy records, like, what's the point of buying the product that you're going to get the proceeds from? If you're producing the product for $10, why would you buy it yourself rather than having people buy it? Well, it's all about perception, right? So labels have always realized that altering perceptions, especially as we get into this digital era where people care about numbers, the more you alter the numbers, the more you could control the minds and control the sheep, because the majority of people don't think for themselves. They don't actually select music. Even, this idea that streaming was supposed to be music on demand, where you selected the song. Quickly, within the first year or two, you had streaming platforms realize that the majority of their listeners didn't want to select music for themselves. They would gravitate towards a Rap Caviar or somebody's playlist. They like for other people to curate a list. So essentially, what the labels realize is that people could be easily mind fucked. They could be easily, they're cheap. You just got to kind of shovel them on. And with that being said, the labels have realized one quick tactic. If you make them believe it's hot, it is hot, right? So how do you do that? Well, obviously in the earlier era, as I said, you just buy a record. So like say you want to say, I don't know, and I'm not saying this artist did this, but let's say Lloyd Banks. We want to say Lloyd Banks sold 700,000 first week. We bought 250,000 of those joints to make him look even more successful. Then people feel the element of FOMO. Now they're listening to him more, whatever. It builds and builds and builds, right? How does it work in the streaming era? Well, it works in the streaming era now where it's complete manipulation. Like there's 15 different ways. So you got bots. And, I've always said I think all artists use bots to some extent. But then you have some people that go overboard with the bots. So you use bots to inflate streams or to make something look like it's jumping off the page, when in reality, it's kind of just performing mid. Secondly, what do you do? Well, first week sales. Hey, listen, I've had so many conversations with these labels where I'm sitting in these, meetings and, like I've gotten offered money. Here's $5,000, here's $10,000. Please don't tweet out our artist sales. Why? Homie's flopping. When I tweeted out that he flops, it's a stamp. It's over. Because I'm about to come on stream and we about to gas it up. It's over. That nigga need, and here's the problem with that. When I then report the flop, it kills their whole marketing budget. So say they spend $500,000 marketing that artist to that point. When I then report the first week flop, the album significantly tanks, and then all that $500,000 they spent on marketing is out the window, because now the artist is even lower than he was when you start building them up, because a rollout you gradually build. So now they got to spend now $800,000 to go get him back hot, even remotely. So it's all about like that type of perception. So first week numbers, it matters a lot for these labels. Trust me, I promise you. Okay. And by the way, each and every time, um, I definitely didn't take money to not report sales. Now I'll be honest with you, there has been an artist that I'm cool with that he dropped and his numbers was abysmal, and I did him the favor and did a report. But that was my man's. I'm gonna keep it a bean. That was my man's. But for just straight the money, I always gotta I have a unique relationship with labels. If they ever think they could just buy you, you don't matter no more. So I can't take the money. But for my man's, whatever. Anyway, and that's just me being honest. But so yeah, first week sales. Okay, so now how do you affect first week sales, right? So obviously you could inflate bots and streams and stuff like that. I think these days Spotify is pretty good. Sometimes they get caught lacking, but most of the streaming services, I hear Apple is really tough to manipulate. They do a lot of real data in real time. It's really hard to manipulate like that. Spotify's a little bit easier, but they do a good job of trying to catch stuff. Bots aren't going to get you those big sales numbers. What's really going to get you those big sales numbers is playing the game according to not streaming, but what Luminate and Billboard allow. Now, again, remember I said Carti did 298, not 320, not 500, 298. Billboard is the one that certifies sales. It's their list. The industry has worked and operated off of Billboard's chart listing for singles and albums for as long as the music industry existed. Where Billboard gets their data from, historically, is from Nielsen. Nielsen, if you don't know what that is, that's a reporting data firm that usually captures data from linear TV. So they used to report, oh, ABC did this, Fox News did this, but they also did it for they did it for radio stations, partially because there's another service that did it for. They did it for everything, including they offered a data set to labels. So at first, labels were paying, I hear like most labels were paying like $250,000 to get access to the service. And this is before the internet. Like now you can just go to your YouTube analytics and tells you, yo, most niggas will listen to you in Chicago. Back then, when you're just shipping out stuff, how do you know if you ship out, say you got popular artists, if you ship out 10,000 CDs to this one city, but that person only has 1,000 fans there, you may have just wasted money. This is going to sit on the shelf. You want to know the demographics. So what Nielsen used to do back in the day, did a really, really good job of, pretty much it was a census for where your music was going, where your fans are, and it would come back with these long reports where it could tell you down to, remember, these labels got to set up tours, or these artists got to set up tours, they got to set up promo runs. And back then, where it wasn't as like, you can't go on your Instagram and be like, yo, if drop y'all cities in the chat if where y'all want me to go. So Nielsen would come back to these labels with, hey, listen, these are the markets that spend the most amount of money on your artists. These are the markets that purchase your artist CDs the most. And trust me, it was valued very well. Now, Billboard took that and said, we're going to unite all of this, and we're going to create the official chart. All the labels start subscribing to that, and also Billboard they have separate leverages that they use with the labels. Anyway, I know I'm speaking a lot, but this is a late night stream chat. Just get educated. It's all good. Okay, cool. Eventually, Nielsen kind of like not really folds, but they turn into what's called Luminate. It's like a company that kind of gets that, and they got another data reporting company as well. And Luminate does exactly what Nielsen's doing. So they just report what is the buying trends, streaming trends, and they really do it down to a microdecimal to let people know where shit is coming from. They could literally, they almost give data to the labels to say, yo, on this block, they're streaming your song 300 times a week. Like, that's how much they are in tune with the data and how well the data is. So, again, they've done a great job now kind of switching to streaming. They provide Billboard all the information. Billboard makes their charts. And what Billboard realizes is that niggas have figured out how to game the charts every single time. They've always gamed the charts. Buying albums, gaming the charts. Botting, gaming the charts. Um, bundles, which by the way, bundles is meant to be a good thing. When the industry was at a time where it was being flipped, because let me tell you this, the music industry and the film industry went to two of the same thing at the same time, which is piracy. The music industry was in free fall. They didn't figure it out. The film industry figured it out, right? Like the mega.coms and all these people, they locked niggas up that was just pirated movies like out there. They locked them niggas up, shut down websites, and it was just not as easy to just get access to films. And they really made it a thing where it's like, you're not going to kill the whole industry by leaking movies. Also, here's the thing. With the film industry, mostly when it comes to watching films, is the experience. So it's a date night. You know what I mean? Even if you don't care that much about the movie, you want to get with your girl and you want to go buy popcorn and go, you know what I mean, go watch a movie. It's like a thing to do. The thing with music, it got devalued. It became MP3s that you could just copy indefinitely. It wasn't a one of one. It was it was just something that was so replicated, it became devalued to the point that the consumer could not figure out why they would need to pay for the product anymore, even if they like the artist, right? Everything goes in shambles. Streaming kind of comes in. They start leveraging with streaming because streaming becomes convenience. Who wants to keep burning CDs and using Kazaa and Napster or whatever, where we'll just give you an access where you can play the songs all the time. And do you want to have a hard drive filled with downloaded songs, right? Like, you know what I mean? If you ever were in the era where people were downloading songs, sometimes you'll get weird versions. You'll download a song, it's like a different song. A DJ tag is on it. Like, it's not the best version. You have a version of a song, but it's not the CDQ version. So streaming helped with all that. Yo, stop all that shit. You pay one fee. They made it kind of easy. They followed the Netflix model. $9. You get all the music in the world. Okay? It worked. Anyway, back to the manipulation. So, as I said with streaming, yeah, the streaming was helping, but Billboard realized that consumption is not that people weren't listening to music. It's just that it was hard to calculate how they were listening to music because most people were listening to it for free. So what they did was they were trying to create these unique ways that artists could still show that their music was being consumed, because that's what it is. They're counting consumption. So they allowed bundles. Okay. So if you could find a way to get fans to buy your music, we'll count that towards your sales. Now, of course, it had good intent, but of course, people started selling V-Lone t-shirts. People started selling fanny packs, keychains, anything but music. Yo, here's my exclusive drop of Supreme. Well, how many people really wanted the music versus Supreme? So those things start happening. And then what happened is that every single time when a finesse starts, you get Billboard have to change the rules. Like, for example, the very first iteration of bundles, you could have them buy some item and literally don't even ship the item till a year later. So you were just having them buy, yo, we're going to get you some exclusive V-Lone t-shirts and have no release or no shipping date. But why would that count for the first week's sales? So Billboard went in and said, nah, we're not doing that. Okay. What they did was they changed the rule to say, if you're going to sell an item, you better ship the item in the same week. Same with vinyls. If you're going to sell, if this is going to count for the week, it has to be shipped in that week. Now, that was, and I'm bringing it back to Playboi Carti. Playboi Carti was supposedly selling CDs and also some shirts mixed with CDs. So those are supposed to count as his bundles. And remember, there's a lot of other rules, but I'm just giving you the main rule. You got to ship it within that week. Okay. If you looked on Playboi Carti's website, they all advertise Playboi Carti store. That's why people kind of knew the album was coming. Everything was basically saying, yo, these are going to ship by, they're going to ship, like, I don't know if you can see it. Well, it was basically saying, yo, these are going to ship around the time of March 14th. That's why people knew that, he either had to release the album then or give people something, give their money back or something. By the way, now it says ship May 9th. I don't know if people got the first iterations. I know I'm being long-winded here, chat. I'm just trying to explain all the sales shit to y'all. It's it's a late night stream, so whatever. Cool. So yeah. The point is this: they changed the rules, and there's a few people who have been the biggest finessers of this. The biggest one is Travis Scott. Billboard, and this gets really deep, people. Like, honestly, Travis Scott works with some of the people that are they pull the strings in the music industry. And this is why Nicki got into it with Travis and whatever. There's a lot of people who are like kind of juggling, trying to keep his finesse going, and some people that want to stop his finesse. So they're always lobbying. And by the way, when these things happen, just to be very like fair and like how deep this goes, I'll give you a story. You want me to give you a story? Tell me if you want a story. Just say story time. We'll act like we're a thought on TikTok. Y'all want a story? If y'all want a story, it's all good. You want a story? Give it out a story. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm putting y'all up on game. You know what I mean? But this is where, for the cerebral thinkers that love arguing with their friends, I'm gonna give you all the information in my army with all the industry shit. You're gonna be good, okay? Okay, cool. Okay. Let's rewind. Dummy Boy 6ix9ine, okay? Dummy Boy 6ix9ine. Here we go. Okay. So 6ix9ine got indicted by the feds. He was on Capitol at first. Capitol says, fuck no, we're not dropping an album with a nigga who got indicted. We don't want to get our label raided by the feds, who are probably thinking we're hiding files or audio files or embezzling or, shit, laundering money that could be dealing with some criminal gang organization. We're not dropping that shit right now. 6ix9ine wanted the album out. His label wanted the album out, which is 10K Records. They got approval that they could drop the project, but not through Capitol. What they did, they went through a independent music group called Create. Okay, so they dropped this project November 27th, 2018. And when they did drop the project, it went number 2. Astro World went number 1. Okay, now Astro World, to be very fair, that was in its first week, but what happened, it's very political when you get to the charts. These labels really vie to get the number 1, because it's all about market share. Like, in any big business is market share, right? Like, these days, I could tell you right now, like, I'll get to it later. Taylor Swift is powering up like Thanos right now. Because Republic, that's a whole nother thing. I feel like I'm just telling you so much. So when it comes to UMG, there's 2 big labels. I've said this before. You got Interscope, and then you got Republic. Republic got Taylor Swift, Drake, Post Malone, Weeknd, them niggas. And then when it comes to Interscope, you get Kendrick, you get Billie Eilish, you get Lady Gaga, this and that. Recently, in the last, I ain't gonna lie to you, the last 6 months, Interscope been beating Republic's ass. You get what I'm saying? Yes, Drake did drop, but like, we're not getting all the heavyweights that are dropping on Republic. We're getting them on Interscope. So what usually happens when that happens? They're all fighting for market share. Like, even the executives are fighting for bigger jobs, bigger bonuses, all that shit happening, right? So it becomes really political about who's number 1 this week, or who has the most of their labels, albums in the top 10, who has the market share, as I said. Now, that happens in every place in the industry. Like, for example, when it comes to number 1s, like these labels, when they want to get on their quarterly reports, they all, these are public labels at this point. They want to be like, listen, we've had, I don't know, 4 consecutive weeks, or no, we had 17 consecutive weeks with the number 1 album. So sometimes when y'all see like, why is Astroworld trying, like, why is the label going dumb hard to get Astroworld at its probably 18th week to beat an album on its first week? It's all about market share. They don't give a fuck that is, whatever. So anyway, Travis beat 6ix9ine. Really, Travis did a finesse, like he always does. And again, I'm not blaming Travis. I'm blaming his label. Like, they've done this finesse many times. This is how political it gets. 6ix9ine's label is 10K, owned by Lucian Grange's son, Elliot Grange, who now is over by Atlantic. He runs Atlantic, 300, all that YSL shit. He runs everything, okay? So his daddy runs UMG. He runs pretty much half of Warner. So really, the Granges really run everything. But he started out with 2 artists, mainly, Trippie, 6ix9ine. This is him early, 2018. Travis is on Epic. Epic is a big label. Epic is under Sony, okay? So I mentioned all 3 labels. If this is the first time you're hearing some of this stuff, I hope you keep up. Anyway, Sony does the play to finesse Travis getting the number 1 ahead of 6ix9ine at the last minute. Okay? Elliot Grange, who dropped this album without Capital, he dropped it on Create, it becomes a thing. They essentially, and I've seen it, they start sending letters back and forth to emails back and forth to Billboard, damn near almost like, yo, this shit is not necessarily court, but like, we're going to escalate this fight. You're not giving Travis Scott the number 1. Travis's label saying, fuck no, you're not giving 6ix9ine this number 1. And they literally fought through Billboard to, yo, why are you counting this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, they literally did an audit. And they did give Travis a number 1, but then I think later on, they rose an issue that UMG backed because you know that's his daddy. His daddy runs UMG. Yo, because basically if UMG says Billboard is putting out fake charts, come on, like it's gonna be a wrap. So they basically fucking pressed Billboard to figure out if Travis finessed it, and if he didn't finesse it, y'all have to reverse and give 6ix9ine. It was a whole thing, trust me. Anyway, look, let me see. Is 6ix9ine's her highest chart? Whatever. Did the drama ever come out? I know there's a huge drama. I could probably Google that. Dummy Boy 6ix9ine Travis Scott. Anyway, I say that to say Travis been finessing like a motherfucker. Look, remember the first thing that came out that said 6ix9ine Dummy Boy reportedly beat Travis? Now, here's the thing. This is why it was a big deal. Supposedly 6ix9ine won. But then Sony, with the Travis finesse, does a political play with sales to say, look, 6ix9ine has a bad image. He's charged with a RICO. You got to remember. Sorry, I know I'm a little lazy. Well, I'm sick, but whatever. Sorry. They basically say, so Billboard used to, I don't know if they do it anymore. Every week they put out a magazine. Most of these things used to be magazine. Complex used to be a magazine. Billboard used to be solely a magazine, right? Now you see online print and shit like that, but they used to be just a magazine. So what they used to do is they used to put the person who's number 1 on the magazine. They went at Billboard basically saying, do you want to put 6ix9ine, the guy who's accused of A, B, C, and D, and he's also now in federal jail, on your thing? And reportedly, that's one of the reasons, because it was being reported that 6ix9ine's Dummy Boy beat Travis Scott by 200 units. You know what Sony went and said? Nigga, go find that 201 units for Travis Scott. So that was what was being reported. You get what I'm saying? And then here's what happened. And then Sunday, Billboard announced that Travis Scott beat 6ix9ine by 5,000. What the fuck? So before they were saying 6ix9ine was winning by 200, then all of a sudden it comes out with, oh, Travis won by 5,000. Again, politics. This is politics as usual, okay? This is just real shit, right? So I say that to say it's been a lot of back and forth. People know how Travis gets down. People know, Taylor does a lot of bundling shit too. The reality of it is like Taylor, I ain't even gonna cap with you. Taylor's just selling music. Like, she's not selling this other shit. She's just flat out selling music, right? Like, yo, here's the pink vinyl with with the Love Me Forever version, like whatever. Like she just sells some shit and it just goes wild. As opposed to like, Travis is a nigga, bro. You know what I mean? Anyway, Billboard has changed its rules a few times, really because of Travis. Let's keep it a beat, right? Now that we've gotten there, let's get back to the rules that they have now changed recently. And this is what I think fucked up Carti a bit. And this is why Carti is not doing Carti numbers, Travis numbers, because Carti's supposed to do close to 500. I'm gonna be honest. Like, if he got his finesse off, he would do close to 500. Instead, he's doing it all off the muscle with streaming, which still is really impressive. So let's go through these new rules that they fucking change. This is gonna be hilarious. And by the way, apparently they changed it not before this week. They changed it 2 weeks ago, but it didn't affect nobody in the last 2 weeks. It's just kind of now coming out to, potentially affect how Carti's releases. Let's see. I had tweeted it out. Okay, where is it? Sorry, chat. Sorry, I think I'm finding. Okay, here we go. Let me just make this a little bit smaller. Pause. All right. So Billboard made this rule change, and the rule change, it was a digital rule change. Well, not digital rule change, but it's a rule change that was effective on February 28th. So 2 weeks before really we got the release of music. It said digital albums now sold by an artist must be redeemed in order to be chart eligible. Now, this is going to affect the Barbs. I'm going to be honest with you. So what the Barbs kind of do, like their finesse is like they'll have like these credit cards and like, for the broke Barbs, they'll share credit card numbers. They'll like, yo, who needs to buy Nicki's album? And what they're now putting in place is like, they're not saying that's bad. They're just trying to make sure it doesn't get abused. So now they're saying if it's bought via a web store of the artist, it has to be redeemed. I'm not too sure what that means, but must be redeemed. I don't know how you redeem it, but it has to be redeemed for it to be chart eligible. Because what they're saying is that, and 6ix9ine exposed this before, right? 6ix9ine exposed like the credit card thing where everybody, like, if you guys don't know, labels have credit cards where they literally give to fan groups and fan pages, and they basically say, just give people gift cards to buy the album that we could get the sales, because what Billboard does track is that they put in some limits, like you could only buy 4 albums per person, or you could only, like, so one person can't buy 10,000 copies. You get what I'm saying? It has to be different people, because remember, with sales, you're thinking about consumption. 6ix9ine credit card sales. Like, here we go.
So listen, I want the world to know that Billboard is a lie. You can buy number ones on Billboard. I want that to register in your head. You can buy number ones on Billboard. Now let me tell you what happened. We was having an ongoing investigation just now. Silvio from Billboard, right? There's like probably 5 or 6 of them that come up with the charts with Nielsen and everything. Last Thursday, Ariana Was Stuck With You submitted 60,000 units last second. With the investigation.
That was the finesse people did too, right? Like, again, so before they changed the rules to say, even during the week, you have to constantly report how much you're getting sales in your online stores. What artists used to do, because they're competing with other labels, is like, yo, let's rack up all the sales on our site. And at the very last minute, because what happens is when other labels are seen, when they see like on pace to sell, they go make sure they get their finesse to get their artists even higher. So what artists would do is wait till the last second to submit a bunch of sales to win. You get what I'm saying? And Billboard cut that out too. They said, no, you need to report every fucking day.
We found this. They purchased half of those things with 6 credit cards. When we asked where was...
This was one of the reasons they changed the rules. Wait, you can't use, it can't be 6 people that bought all these, 10,000 copies.
Those 6 credit cards linked to, Billboard said we can't disclose that information. Understand this. They bought 30,000 and so units with 6 credit cards. 6 credit cards. Now, again, you're gonna enjoy your number one. Explain how you buy 30,000 with 6 credit cards, right? Now let me explain to you something. They don't want, Billboard doesn't want no one to know this. Now I understand why Jay-Z and Nicki Minaj say Billboard, like we used to look up to number one, to Billboard, but now it's like we know you can, it's all manipulated, right? It's all fabricated. You can buy number ones. This is what these artists do, right? And it's not fair. I want you to see this. Gooba streamed 50 million streams, and this is what they're counting, only 50 million.
Now, one thing you got to say about 6ix9ine, he was always very transparent. Bro, the music business is exactly what you need to understand. It's always been 95% business, 5% music. Most of the things that you see happening are decided in board meetings, and they're done by executives. The artists are pawns. And when you see an artist that is this transparent, with the little that he knows, because this might just come from his label, they probably just sent him a sheet that kind of shows his numbers, probably versus the numbers of the person who's winning. Yeah.
Million streams, right? They only counted, look what Billboard counts. They only counted 31 million. Billboard illegally disqualified 20 million streams so it can drop down, and the people who bought the number one, which was...
Now, I don't know if that's also true. What people also have to realize, Billboard is calculating for the U.S. So a lot of times, if 6ix9ine has a huge international following, if you stream 6ix9ine's song or you stream Drake's song or Carti's song in the UK, nobody cares. At least in the charts that we post, right? There's a Billboard UK charts, right? But like, let me see if I could even go to the Billboard UK site. Billboard UK charts. Like, nobody's like reporting from this shit. You know what I mean? Like, oh, bro, no disrespect. Like, what the fuck? What song is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, Anxiety's up there by Doechii, but like, come on, like, what the fuck? Which you could definitely tell they're not listening to no K-Dot in no motherfucking. Yeah, is Kendrick on it? Yeah, Kendrick is not even. Yeah, no Kia is on there. So this is the UK charts, right? It's not like us on this bitch. I don't see it. I don't see that bit. See? So it's like a whole different world. But really, nobody gives a fuck about what they listen to over there. No disrespect. It's just like they work off our charts. So like, the U.S. is still the biggest market, right?
Stuck with you can go to number one. Look at this. 31 million, which places us at 38 points. When in 5th place, you were stuck at 32 points. 6 credit cards buys you 36 credit.
Nah, 6ix9ine was tight. This nigga was tight as a motherfucker, bro. This nigga was so upset, bro. He was so okay. All right, so again, you can watch that full video if you want to see the full expose. But it was exposed at that time. They've changed rules multiple times, and there's always new finesses when they change rules. Like right now, they just changed the rules. Travis is cooking up to go beat the rules again. You know what I mean? Travis always beats the rules. Digital artist sold has to be redeemed. Okay. In addition, verification using CAPTCHA is required to prevent bots. So what they have is these days they have purchasing bots. So bots that you could essentially put the credit cards in, and what happens, because now you got to submit the data to Billboard, it looks weird if all the sales came within 2 hours from the same place. So what they do is they have these bot farms that all use VPNs, and they could make the purchases at random times to look like it's from random places and to look like it's from random people. So that's a way that you could purchase in mass, let's say, 20,000 albums. Do you get what I'm saying? So now they're saying on these artists' websites, because a lot of artists use their own websites, you have to have CAPTCHA. Let's go to Carti's. By the way, I'm not accusing Carti of anything. I'm just using his website as a PlayBoyCarti.com. I'm gonna just use his website as a example. Now, does he have CAPTCHA? Let's see. So let me just add his fucking album to a cart. Okay, cool. Let's just try to buy it, right? So now we go here. Wait, I understand. Hold on. Let me go here. Subtotal. Let's check out. So now we're checking out, right? Cool. So we're checking out. Okay. All right. Now I probably got to fill out a little bit more here. But before we actually process this purchase, it should give us what's called a captcha, which means, hey, we want to confirm you're human. And via the new rules, if this doesn't include it, any sales from here will not count. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna update this website if they haven't already. I'm pretty sure when you go to continue the shipping, I think it's gonna happen. Like, you want to create some bullshit? Let's see. Email I love Jordan Carter.com at gmail.com. Okay, cool. All right. First name Jordan Carter. Address 911 White House Way. I'm just making this shit up. Okay, this shit's like doxing me and shit. All right. Okay, phone number 555. Okay, cool. All right. Enter a valid number. Jesus Christ. 215-889. Okay. Bruv. Man, Jesus Christ. Just trying to make up some bullshit. Continue the shipping. Oh my God. Bruv. Okay. Nelson VA. Okay, good. Cool. We can do that. All right, bet. Proceed. All right. Ship as they become available. All right, cool. Now, go to payment. It should have a captcha. If we don't see a captcha, that this is going to be in violation. Now, I'm not buying this shit, clearly. The billing address, we don't see a captcha. If we say, yeah. So currently, maybe the Playboi Carti website is not in compliance. So I'm just giving you the examples of why they're also, again, Billboard is on it because they want to make sure niggas ain't making up bullshit. You get what I'm saying? Okay, so that's one of the things. Any direct-to-consumer, so D2C's direct-to-consumer store with 3 submissions of illegitimate data, which means if they found out that you did a finesse via your web store, if there's 3 submissions of illegitimate data within a 12-month period, they may receive a 90-day report and suspension, which means nothing could be reported from their website and counted as sales. Then this one's going to be effective April 4th. The minimum price for all direct-to-consumer exclusive digital albums got to be $7.99. I believe previously was $5.99. Okay, minimum price of albums increasing at all retailers, $7.99 for CDs, $7.99 for cassettes, $15.99 for vinyls, okay? And then it says only 4 digital or D2C versions will be allowed for the life of the album, including deluxe versions. Oh, wow. You know who this is gonna fuck with? This is gonna fuck with Taylor a bit. Because if you ever go to Taylor, let's go to Taylor website. Taylor Swift store. So if you go to Taylor Swift store, like Taylor Swift, now let's just go to music. You'll see a lot of different versions, right? The manuscript. Well, actually, she might be able to get around it because, not really. Blue Edition, Blood Moon Edition, Mahogany Edition, Jade Green Edition. God damn. Moonstone Blue Edition, the 3 a.m. edition. God damn. You see? So again, there's probably a finesse around that to just count it as something else. You know what I mean? To just be like, not call it a deluxe, but to call it like some other shit. But at least Billboard's trying to stop it. It's saying only 4 digital to direct-to-consumer exclusive versions will be allowed for it. Now, here's what they're going to do. It can't be exclusive for direct-to-consumer. So what they're going to do as a finesse is just put on multiple versions on DSPs. So that's not exclusive to direct-to-consumer. Direct-to-consumer is through your website. So they're saying, we'll count it, but you got to put it on DSPs, bro. Like, if y'all just having these albums only being sold and you're having 55 different versions, like, what the fuck? Anyway, so they're saying only 4 will be allowed. Taylor Swift is so popular and so powerful, she's going to stop this bullshit. Or she's going to have her finesse. Trust Trust. This rule is an anti-Taylor Swift rule. Okay? And Taylor ain't going for that. Trust me. Digital direct-to-consumer exclusive versions cannot be put up for sale during the middle of the first week. So, sometimes, especially in hip-hop, they'll see their artists about to flop. They'll be like, yo, copy from here. They just make a store. Nah. So it has to be available for pre-order or held to a later release, later week release. So if there's no pre-order, you can't just pop up a store, okay? And again, what they're doing is trying to make sure these guys who are finessing via their own websites. Because again, let's go to Travis's store, Travis Scott's store. All these motherfuckers is doing is just hitting the biggest finesse. Right? Like you go here, you go to shop. Okay, he actually shut down his store for a bit. Okay, good. All right. So you could tell. You know what this means? Currently cooking up the next finesse. That's what I'm talking about. Right? All right. Then physical direct-to-consumer shipments, which fall outside established sales trend, which that's going to be important. What does that mean? Will require reporting to store to provide enhanced and tracking status, along with other info like geolocation data and if a VPN was used to make the purchase. Just like what I said, right? Chat, basically, yo, you're going to have to report, like you can't turn in 60,000 direct-to-consumer sales at the last minute. When were they bought? Where were they bought at? What's the IP address? Give us some details if these are actual humans buying this shit, okay? And if you're going to ship them, because what will happen is they'll buy this shit, and since they technically have to ship them, they just ship them to a warehouse. You get what I'm saying? And later, those same CDs get, like, put in the few places I carry CDs anymore. You get what I'm saying? Or they get, like, packaged and they get, like, put with the artists and tours and all promotional shit. It's all a finesse, my nigga. This shit's like the biggest finesse in the world, right? Now, a lot of people do believe that this is a pro-Drake thing, which it clearly is, because all of these Drake don't do, right? Like, I think, even me as a fan, I've said Drake, he should do it. If everybody's finessing or if everybody's baseball is taking steroids, like, fuck, was you gonna break your back trying to hit a home run? This nigga looked like he got a muscles that the ball might disintegrate in the dust. You might as well just take some steroids too. None of these really affect like someone like Drake. It's gonna affect Travis. It's gonna affect Taylor. It's gonna affect a few people who are usually very heavy and dependent on these bundles and direct-to-consumer sales. Barb's somewhat, but I won't say fully because, it's not like they're using bots to buy it. The Barbs are just really like delusional stan addicts. So they're really going to buy it themselves. It's just that they're broke. So they use the same credit cards. So, you know what I mean? Or they're sending gift cards that people could buy the albums, but that shouldn't be wrong. You know what I mean? Anyway. That's my little spiel. I'm done with sales. That took a long time, huh? Wow. Fuck. All right. Cool. Let's see what else going on. Chat. What did I want to... I wanted to react to a few things. Let me just look. Probably had a list. By the way, if you guys are up with me, man, you guys are the champs. I know it's Monday. Some of y'all got to get to work. It's like, yo, damn, accurate. Like, bro, you trying to get us fired. Just go to sleep. It's cool. Like, you're going to catch this on the VOD. It's all good. You know what I mean? We're just doing this to make sure we bang out day 2. For my people on my West Coast, thank you guys for hanging in there with me. And if you're in the UK, I know I said y'all don't count when it comes to the music charts, but chill. Y'all do count when it comes to watching my stream. I appreciate y'all. Okay, cool. All right, let's get on some federal shit. So we're back on the LA Fed sweep, and essentially, this shit's still happening. People are anticipating what's going to be called a superseding indictment that's going to appear shortly. That's going to detail maybe even more crimes or more significant charges for the likes of Brick Baby, Loose Cannon, and of course the guy who they place at the top, Big U. Again, I've said this. I hope in the interest of me and people usually accuse me of not doing this, but I don't want black men to be like literally signing themselves up for jail with their own stupidity. I hope LA podcasting changes. I get it. Y'all are all gang affiliated for the most part, and y'all love being on there talking about DPs and all type of fuckery and all type of politics and what words offend y'all. But please keep that shit in the streets, okay? The kids that are watching you and the people that are watching you are entertained by your foolery and coonery, but they're even more amused by your indictment. And the reality of it is, if you got a job, whether you get employed by No Jumper or whoever else, that little 100,000, actually, he's not paying y'all 100,000. You're gonna have to pay 150,000 for a RICO. That's a going price for a RICO these days with a good lawyer or a decent lawyer. So again, what are you doing it for? So I hope LA podcasting realizes that, listen, this gang culture, y'all have now became the sacrificial lamb of what people thought Chicago was. And I'm not saying this with trying to be on a soapbox, but I'm just saying, listen, it's one thing, I hold no blame and no guilt towards Adam 22 or even of Vlad TV. Y'all are the podcasters are creating their own podcasts. They're going on clubhouses. They're dying to tell people what they have done, what gang they're in. They argue all day in a violent, threatening sense, throwing up all these sets, basically affirming that they're still active. They have done crimes, and they think because it might be a year or two removed, they're absolved. All while, this is how it works in a RICO. You may have stopped doing crime, but you're still claiming a gang, and other niggas in the gang are doing crimes, which means you're basically doing, hold up. Let's see. Which means you're basically like setting yourself up. So please, with all due respect, LA showed me so much love. I love you guys in LA, but the gang podcasting has got to stop. Like, you know what I mean? Again, for a long time I was watching LA gang podcasts happen, and I'm like, I thought it was completely fake. I thought everybody was lying because to me it didn't make sense that only in LA podcasting there is all these arguments all the time. LA ain't that damn big. And there's not one fade caught yet. We don't know one fade that's ever been caught, ever. And there's a few fades that were caught, but supposedly they were fictional. It's impossible. Chicago don't move like that, niggas get shot. Jacksonville don't move like that, niggas die. Memphis, them niggas, they keep it in the music and in the streets. Even Atlanta, you ain't gonna see it, niggas just get knocked off. LA is the only place when they got a beef, they tie their red rag, their blue rag real tight around their neck, and they pick up a podcast mic to tell their crimes. It's crazy, and I want y'all to stop. This indictment should be a wake-up call. Please stop self-snitching. Now, if you don't stop self-snitching, I'm going to still sit here and be thoroughly entertained, and I'll wait for the next indictment. Anyway. Did y'all see this shit, yeah? This is crazy. Now, let me tell you how much podcasting became so much of this, beef ecosystem in this podcast, in the West Coast podcasting games, right? Check this out, chat. For example, and again, I'm not putting out nothing that's not already out there. I don't want nobody to call me the feds. Again, my new thing, I keep telling y'all, I said to Meek Mill, y'all are the stupid niggas. Meek Mill said that it's the blogs and it's the people like Akademiks that sending street dudes to jail. No, it's not, my guy. If you are a street nigga, why would you take up a job as a podcaster? If all you could provide insight on is street shit and crimes. We're going to have to be accountable. Meek Mill, we all know the only nigga that has recorded a negative IQ. He literally was saying that it's people like me that send people like him to jail, but the last time he got sent to jail over popping a wheelie, he posted the crime to Twitter himself. I had to show him the proof.
So Playboi Carti, at the time of this recording, he still has not dropped his album. Axe said, for me, it's 20 and 20. He said it's a classic album. Carti said he's dropping 28 songs. Not gonna lie, like what they said, every song is probably a minute and 30 seconds or 2 minutes. It's probably gonna be a good album, honestly. Carti probably just makes music Cardi, I don't know, bro. I don't understand the hype behind Cardi, honestly. I know that he's the littest, like the younger generation. He's like, I don't know, like prime little baby for like, he's like that for them. Like I don't know compared like YB, like he's like the new YB, like how YB was in like 2016, 17. That's what Cardi is for the kids right now, which makes no sense because YB at that time was literally a teenager. Cardi is 30 years old, which I'm not gonna lie, he doesn't act his age. He's King Vamp. He's a vamp. So hey man. But it's your boy Big Act News. Let me know how you guys feel about everything. And if the album's already out and you guys heard it, leave a review in the comments below. And if it's not out, man, GG is I don't know. And I'm out.